What up, everybody? What up, everybody? What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of AC Reviews the World. I'm your host, AC the Engineer, and we are in episode 117. Let's give it a round. Yep, it's episode 117 now. We're moving on up. Hopefully, everybody had a beautiful Tuesday, January 27th, 2026 year of our Lord. But we got a lot of things to talk about, a lot of things to discuss. Because why? Because the world is a crazy place and we got to review it together. We have to review it together. Remember, y'all, if you ever disagree with anything I say, please leave me a comment. Let's talk about it. Let's have a discussion about it. Because that's what the world needs. The world needs people to talk about these type of things. Now, remember, y'all, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you can be up to date on all the videos. But you know how I like to do it. Let's jump right into it. What's Future say?
Sensational.
Let's have a sensational show today. Now, like always, we meet Monday through Friday, starting between 6 and 7, where we go over four different topics to where things that I found that we just need to review together. But you know how I like to do it. Let's jump right into it. The first topic we're discussing today, we got to go to Minneapolis, back to Minneapolis. Because why? Because there's a lot of things happening in Minneapolis. And it looks like Tom Homan is getting prepared to head out there. Because the last dude who was out there running ICE, sounds like he's getting basically demoted and told to leave. But let's get over into it. We got a few videos to look at and just about this whole situation. Let's get into it.
Now let's bring in CBS News immigration and politics reporter Camilo Montoya Galvez. Good to see you, Camilo. Can you talk to us about how the roles are shifting here?
Good morning, Muga. We are seeing firsthand what could be the start of a potentially major shift in how the Trump administration is carrying out the president's mass deportation agenda. Of course, Gregory Vivino, that notorious Border Patrol commander who has led controversial immigration operations in major cities like Chicago, Los Angeles, and most recently Minneapolis, is effectively being demoted and sent back to his regular job as the lead chief patrol agent in the El Centro sector along the California-Mexico border. Tom Homan, the White House border czar, who is seen as more moderate on immigration issues, is now going to be leading ICE operations in Minneapolis. And so there's certainly a change in tone. Of course, Vivino faced a lot of criticism and backlash, Mugo, after he suggested without evidence that Alex Preddy was trying to massacre federal agents when he was fatally shot by a Border Patrol agent over the weekend. Yeah. And we also know that this could be the start of a major policy change as well, not just a shift in tone. Border Patrol operations led by Vivino, Mugo, have been more indiscriminate in nature than ICE operations. For example, Border Patrol agents have been seen arresting people on a random ad hoc basis at Home Depot parking lots and other public locations, and also stopping people on the streets of major U.S. cities, including Minneapolis, to ask them for their papers and their citizenship status. ICE operations, while they have become more aggressive under this administration, are still primarily targeted at individuals who are in the country illegally, but also have criminal records. So we're starting to see again the makings of what could be a major pivot by the administration, but only time will tell.
Now, of course, there's been 2 killings we all know that's in Minneapolis so far, Rena Good and Alex Peretta. Both of them, some people are saying that they were completely innocent. Some people are saying they aren't. With the Rena Good, there's an argument saying that she was driving towards and tried to run over the ICE officer. And then for Alex Peretta, the government, or some of the government, are saying he still had a gun, which in some of the videos, it looked clear to me that they ended up taking away the gun. But I don't know exactly what was happening because we ain't got any body cam footage or anything like that. We just got to wait for more investigation to come out. But let's keep going into this.
Yeah, exactly. Only time will tell. We'll see what comes next. Camilo, we're also expecting the administration to pull back some of the Border Patrol agents in Minnesota. But do we have any information about just how many would leave the state?
So we don't know right now, Mugo, how many Border Patrol agents will be leaving alongside Vivino this week. What we do know is that there are currently about 3,000 ICE and Border Patrol agents in the Minneapolis region. That is the largest deployment in the history of the Department of Homeland Security. 2,000 of those agents are ICE agents at Homeland Security investigations and also ICE's deportation branch. So the bulk of the force, we are told, is still going to be there in Minneapolis because, again, 2/3 of the people there at the federal level are at ICE. About 1,000 of the people deployed there by the federal government have been Border Patrol agents and other officers at Customs and Border Protection. But again, it is still a significant concession by the administration to withdraw some of the forces there, especially Bovino, who again has been the public face of the administration's crackdown in not just Minneapolis, but Chicago, Los Angeles, Charlotte, and also New Orleans.
Yeah. Camilla.
So it's a crazy times that we live in, crazy times but it looks like the main dude who was leading the ICE in that area is going to basically get demoted, and they're going to send Tom Homan in. The one who's over everything. But there's one thing, remember, all this started, really kicked up from was the death of Alex Pereira, which he was actually, I didn't notice this, there's a video, he was actually assaulted before by ICE agents. Looks like he was basically protesting again, but this was prior to it, I think a week or two prior. So let's go over into that.
Sources tell CNN that Alex Preddy, the man who was fatally shot in Minneapolis last week, had an encounter with federal agents a week prior. Now, according to sources, they said that that incident, Preddy had stopped his car when he saw ICE agents chasing what he described as a family. They say that he began shouting and blowing his whistle. Now, he also had told these sources that he was tackled to the ground by 5 agents, one of whom leaned on his back, and that encounter left him with a broken rib. One source saying that that day he, quote, thought he was going to die. Now, according to records reviewed by CNN, Preddy was given medication consistent with treating a broken rib. Now, sources also tell CNN that Alex Preddy appeared to be known by federal law enforcement prior to Saturday's incident, though it's unclear whether the officers who tackled him knew who he was. But all of this part of an effort by federal immigration officers to collect personal information on protesters and agitators as the Department of Homeland Security warns of increasing threats to law enforcement conducting operations.
Go back and look at the video yourself. Tell me what your thoughts are. I only saw what it looked like, the gun being taken away from him that they pulled from his back, that was tucked in his back waistband. But some are saying he might have still had another gun. You got to go make your own inferences or conclusions on what you see. And then when the investigation comes out, you can choose to believe it or not. But let's get over into this next video where we learn more about Tom Homan coming in.
Commander-at-Large Greg Bovino is out of Minnesota, and Secretary Kristi Noem is facing calls of impeachment, both of whom claimed Preddy was threatening federal agents with his gun, something the video of the shooting directly contradicts. President Trump has now tapped his border czar, Tom Homan, to run the deportation operation in Minnesota. Homan, a 40-year veteran of DHS operations, previously headed deportations under President Obama and typically employs a more methodical approach to deportations, much different from the tactics employed by Greg Bovino, which have been derided by many and the subject of heavy criticism. News Nation's Allie Bradley has more live on the ground in Minnesota. Allie, good afternoon.
Yeah, hey, good afternoon, Nick. So we just got word that Tom Homan is in town officially, and he just met with Governor Tim Walz. So what his office is saying, what the governor's office here is saying, is that they reiterated the priorities for Minnesota, saying impartial investigations into the Minneapolis shooting involving federal agents, a swift, significant reduction in number of federal forces in Minnesota, and an end to the campaign of retribution against Minnesota. And then we also heard from Chief Gregory Bovino, who told me the agents of Operation At Large were a true honor to serve with, saying, now, folks, those agents really made a difference, unprecedented. And we know that Chief Gregory Bovino has been relieved of command He has been relieved from his role as commander at large, and he is officially out of Minnesota now, going back to the El Centro sector where he was chief. That, according to our sources. Now, several Border Patrol agents are also leaving Minnesota, but some who were getting ready to leave were actually told to stay. They told me they were packing up and going home, but that was paused. They're now staying here, and that's something Mayor Fry says he's going to continue to push against following his conversation with President Trump. Now, we do expect Mayor Fry to also meet with Border Czar Tom Homan as well on that front. Now, when it comes to the deadly shooting, obviously, we're likely going to hear more coming out on that investigation. Tom Homan is here on the ground. He's going to be focusing, though, on immigration enforcement, but we'll also be digging into the fraud investigation into the state. Of course, that's the reason why they were here in the first place. We want to give you a little bit more background. I know Nick kind of broke down who Tom Homan is, but let's kind of give you some more information. He's a former New York police officer and Border Patrol agent. He was tapped by the Obama administration in 2013 to lead ICE's deportation efforts. And during his tenure, ICE carried out record numbers of formal deportations. Obama later awarded Homan the Presidential Rank Award, the highest honor for career civil servants. He also served as President Trump's acting ICE director during his first term. Now, when it comes to that deadly shooting, the White House says DHS is leading the investigation through Homeland Security investigations. DHS has Alex Preddy's phone and the officer's gun. The FBI is going to be investigating Preddy's gun, but that's the extent of their involvement at the moment. Now, Customs and Border Protection is conducting its own internal investigation. Of course, that's the agency that directly oversees Border Patrol, the agency that was involved in the shooting death of Alex Preddy. Now, DHS officials also say some federal agents were actually wearing body cameras, and there is camera footage from multiple angles of Saturday's incident. Investigators are currently reviewing that footage, and this all comes as a chief federal judge in Minnesota is saying that the Trump administration has not complied with court orders requiring hearings for detained immigrants. So they're actually subpoenaing the acting ICE director, Todd Lyons, to be before a judge on Friday. So a lot of moving parts here, Nick, that we're trying to keep our eyes on. And of course, if anything breaks, we'll be the first to report it here.
Allie, one more moving part I want to ask you about, though, because we know that President Trump spoke with both Governor Walz and Mayor Fry. Is the Department of Homeland Security still moving forward with this main mission?
Yeah, so ICE is going to remain here, and the agency is standing strong behind its operation in the Twin Cities, and the Department of Homeland Security took to X to continue posting what it calls the, quote, worst of the worst in Minneapolis. They shared photos and descriptions of suspects who they have labeled as violent offenders, which include sex predators, those driving under the influence, and drug dealing charges as well. ICE says more than 3,400 criminal illegal immigrants have been arrested under Operation Metro Surge. That began at the end of November. And of course, we're told that these operations are going to continue to be going on despite Gregory Bovino's departure here, Nick.
We'll see if the
So at the end of the day, they're still going to be out there, still going to be going after illegal immigrants to get them deported. But a lot of things are happening in Minneapolis. Let's go over into this next video where they talk about a judge is calling for a meeting.
A judge in Minnesota is ordering the acting head of Immigration and Customs Enforcement to appear in court by Friday. The chief federal judge in Minnesota wants Todd Lyons to explain why he should not be held in contempt after the Trump administration failed to comply with orders to hold hearings for detained immigrants. Meanwhile, in a letter to Attorney General Pam Bondi obtained by CBS News, top Democrats on the House Judiciary Committee have asked Justice Department officials to hand over records involving the investigation into Alex Preddy's death. The panel wants the records by this coming Monday, February 2nd. CBS News Justice correspondent Scott McFarland has more from Washington.
As the day progresses here in Washington, you are seeing a shakeup in Minneapolis for the Trump administration. They are deploying Tom Homan, their so-called border czar, from Washington to be on the ground in Minneapolis amid the crisis, if not controversy. They have moved out the high-profile border agent leader, Greg Bovino. He's no longer on the ground. And CBS News has learned Kristi Noem was at the White House Monday, the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, answering questions, and will have a focus shift to the southern border from these issues of the interior immigration enforcement, the deployment of agents in cities like Minneapolis. These changes come amid this spiraling controversy over the second deadly shooting by a federal agent of a U.S. citizen in Minneapolis. This has also triggered a series of new congressional investigations. CBS News has learned among them Judiciary Committee Democrats in the U.S. House have asked the Department of Justice to hand over records by Monday into why or why not they have investigations going into the shooting of Renee Good and the shooting of Alex Pretty, and what they plan to do about it next.
It's a wild situation that's happening over in Minneapolis. But let me know your thoughts, y'all. That is the updates, what we've seen so far with the whole ICE and Tom Homan coming. What do you think about it? What do you think? Go back, look at the videos, always do your own research and tell me what your thoughts are. Like always, let me know if you disagree with anything I said. But we're going to pivot over into the next topic we're going to be discussing today. And it's a weird one. It's a weird one. But we're going over into, looks like we got child trafficking charges dismissed for a teacher. So I found this because most recently the child trafficking charges for a teacher has been dismissed. This happened after a year ago when it was first announced that her and her son were being charged with child trafficking charges, and she's a teacher. But we're gonna go over into a year ago, look at the news reports, and then we'll go into the most recent one to see what all this is about. Because a teacher being charged with child trafficking is something serious. Something serious. Let's get over into it and see what we can make of this whole situation. I didn't even pull it up. Let me get right over to it. Oh, hold on. See, I'm going there doing stuff backwards. Let's get into it.
Today, a Klein Cain high school teacher is in jail on human trafficking charges.
Today, Kadria Grigsby made her first court appearance. The cosmetology teacher is accused of trafficking girls who were students. And investigators say she was not working alone. Troy Kless is live at the Harris County Courthouse with the details tonight. Troy?
Well, Enrica, today in court, a judge set bond conditions for Grigsby. Now, according to charging documents, we're learning that she and her son had been involved in this prostitution ring that's been going on for more than a year. In a bright yellow jumpsuit, Kedra Grigsby makes her first appearance before a Harris County judge. She's facing 3 charges of compelling prostitution and 3 charges of trafficking a child. The case moved to a different judge because family is involved.
She was a teacher of cosmetology, I believe, at Klein Cain. Her son was involved in running these juvenile complainants in human trafficking.
According to charging documents, Grigsby and her son allegedly participated in taking profits from 3 juveniles for prostitution. In the documents, Grigsby is accused of transporting the victims to and from motel rooms, paying for the room, and maintaining a Zelle account where Grigsby received the profits.
Comment at this point whether or not she knew these girls from Klein, if she became connected to them through her son, but she was a teacher at Klein ISD.
Today, a judge set her bond totaling at $450,000. Her defense attorney unsure if his client will be able to meet bond. Charging documents allege Grigsby was involved in the ring since November 2022.
Now, it's a crazy situation, no matter how you look at it. But remember, this is a year ago, and she most recently got her charges dismissed.
I understand the severity of the allegations, but as I always tell all my clients, allegations are just that. They're just statements that are uncorroborated. We're looking forward to see what the evidence holds, and she's a presumed innocent person. And
her son is also charged in a separate case. Prosecutors say it is their job to eradicate human trafficking, no matter what form it takes.
Absolutely crazy situation. Let's go over to this next video where they talk about the whistleblower.
Now to a developing story. A former Klein ISD teacher's attorney will file a federal lawsuit against the school district for wrongful termination.
As KPRC2's Roll On Logan reports, the former teacher claims she was let go after she spoke up about another teacher's involvement in an alleged human trafficking ring.
Nay, this has been a case KPRC2 has followed closely for months, the arrest of the cosmetology teacher. Today, the woman who claimed to have told school leaders about Kedria Grigsby sharing how she learned of those allegations. On the cusp of the first day of school for Klein ISD, district leaders say it is their main focus and not the press conference that happened steps away from Klein Cain High School, where a former teacher claimed the district was made aware of Kedria Grigsby before she was arrested and charged with trafficking.
I did not take this action simply because I'm an educator. My first response was because I'm a mother, and it's been a sickening, dark pit in my stomach to know that Klein has sat on this information.
In a statement to KPRC, the district said in parts, quotes, "We are aware of the allegations made by a self-proclaimed whistleblower who is actually an ex-employee documented for poor job performance. We have not seen any lawsuits filed against Klein ISD connected to this matter." Darden claims she told district leaders about her suspicions on Grigsby a few months after her son was arrested for human trafficking in 2023. Grigsby was arrested in her classroom earlier this year in April. Harry Daniels is part of Darden's team of attorneys.
We believe that as a result of this whistleblowing, as a result of her calling the foul, as a result of her identifying and naming teachers in this particular school district, a teacher in this school district, that she was retaliated against.
Darden says she was made aware of the allegations against the former cosmetology teacher through her daughter, who she says was a victim.
For the other victims in this case, I stand in solidarity with you. I pray for your healing and that you have the resources that you need to thrive.
Klein ISD leaders telling me that they will fully investigate and address any reports of misconduct and suspicious behavior made to the district.
So fired because you try to bring awareness at the school. It's a crazy situation, but remember, this has all happened a year ago. So let's go over into what happened most recently and how all these charges were dismissed for the teacher.
Only on two, a former Klein ISD teacher who made headlines for being an alleged ringleader of a prostitution operation involving children will not be seeing a criminal courtroom anytime soon after a sudden development. 2 Investigates Mario Diaz is live at the courthouse after speaking exclusively with the former teacher this afternoon. Mario.
Yeah, for Keith, for Ms. Grigsby here, it's been a very long haul. She told me today about what it was like for her back in April of 2024. Remember, she was arrested inside of her classroom, spent 23 days inside of the county jail. Then, obviously, prosecutors and investigators say that she and her son were up to no good, involved into a prostitutional enterprise involving kids. But then all of a sudden, over the weekend, her case was dismissed.
I was relieved, but yet I still have a lot of questions with the way that this was handled.
The case made headlines in April 2024 as a former cosmetology teacher was arrested at Klein Cain High School. She and her son were both indicted. He pleaded guilty in March of last year. Prosecutors said they had witnesses to the criminal activity, a connected Zelle account, specific hotels tied to what they described as an overall prostitution enterprise.
It never happened. I ran a beauty salon. Okay, that was my other job besides me being a teacher. I had my own business.
And that Zelle account was connected to the business?
Absolutely.
I'm assuming the victims named you as well. So how can your son plead guilty and you be like, oh, none of that happened? I might be missing something, but let's keep going.
Grigsby, after our interview, was adamant in a phone call that her son's admission of guilt is what helped her clear her name in this case. Still, there are others that have questions.
It seemed like it was very pretty much an open and shut case for the most part.
Harry Daniels is the attorney for the whistleblower who sounded the alarm against Grigsby. Daniels feels that this is a case that should have gone to trial.
You know, it was shocking that this amount of evidence that the Harris County District Attorney Office had in order to secure an indictment from a grand jury, now find it as insufficient evidence to prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt.
Questions questions from the whistleblower as well as Ms. Grigsby. She plans on coming down here. You're looking live at the courthouse tomorrow. She wants more questions. She wants answers to some of her questions, questions that she was relaying to us as well. I also asked her at one point, do you have any desires to get back into teaching? Perhaps even go back to Klein ISD now that you've been cleared? She says, I will not do that whatsoever. Again, she says that the last 2 years, extremely difficult for herself as well as her family.
Now, let's go over into the AI breakdown so we can see if they tell us anything else. But it's hard for me to believe just because the son claimed that he filed guilty or gave a guilty claim. But let's get over into this AI breakdown to see if they tell us anything else. So as of today, the criminal charges have been dismissed on the former cosmetology teacher at Klein Cain High School. She was originally charged in April 2024 with 3 counts of trafficking of children, 3 counts of compelling prostitution. She was accused of recruiting students to work in a sex trafficking ring operated by her adult son. The Harris County District Attorney Office filed a motion to dismiss because they could not prove beyond a reasonable doubt that she had actual knowledge of her son's trafficking activities or participated in them. The dismissal is not a declaration of innocence. Prosecution stated that the charges could be refiled if new evidence emerges. Her son pleaded guilty to trafficking a child and was sentenced to 20 years in prison in March of 2025. While the criminal case against her was dismissed, related legal action are continuing. So we got a federal lawsuit by a whistleblower. That's the one we talked about. We got retaliation claims. So a former special education teacher at Klein claimed that she found she was forced to resign after reporting concerns about her. And then you got a judge denied Klein's ISD's request to dismiss the Title V or Title IV lawsuit. As of January 2026, the case is on hold pending an appeal by the school officials. What evidence do they... I'm assuming because it's the students she was working with, her son was targeting, so how else could they get, unless they met somewhere else? I want to know, did any of the victims give her name specifically? That wouldn't make the stopping the gun, or what is it? The last bullet in the gun. I don't know how to say the right acronym. I might have said that wrong too. But okay, so prosecutors determined that there was insufficient evidence to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that she actually had knowledge. The decision to dismiss the charges centered on the inability to establish a direct criminal link despite several pieces of circumstantial evidence. So you got the financial transactions like the Zelle, text messages revealed that the teacher knew her son was making large sums of money despite not having a job, but prosecutors could not definitively prove that she knew the source of the money. Evidence suggests that she was providing hotel rooms and transportation for students who were reportedly runaways. While the state initially alleged that this was for recruitment, the defense argued that these actions did not prove that she knew they were being compelled into prostitution by her son. I can see how they can say that, but so you mean to tell me the same people that you were providing hotel rooms for were being propelled into prostitution? That seems like I guess. Although a former teacher claimed that she alerted the district about the alleged involvement as early as 2023, the Harris County Sheriff's Office reportedly told school officials at the time the teacher was not a suspect, which complicated the prosecution's ability to prove her criminal intent. It's a crazy situation no matter how you look at it. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you think, y'all. Do you think it's just a wild coincidence that she was providing hotel rooms and getting all this money or into her Zelle account for her business, but it was all centered around the son using those same women as prostitutes and using the Zelle account? It's It's a crazy situation, hopefully. But I guess you can't prove it with a reasonable doubt, and that's why they didn't take it to court. But overall, it's a crazy situation. Let me know your thoughts, y'all. Let me know if you disagree with anything I said. It's a crazy situation out here. End of the day, look after your kids, because other people won't. It's a crazy situation, y'all. But we're going to pivot over into the next topic we're going to be discussing today. And it's more terrible things with children. It's I hate to bring it up, but we got to bring it up. We got a teen has gone missing after a Roblox meetup. Now, I've heard just through the grapevine, just different things about how Roblox, I might be saying that name wrong, but Roblox is has a lot of child predators on the site, which I've heard about that for years. But kids need to be careful. You have to watch your children, who they're chatting with, because we talk about this has been going on for years. They meet up with someone thinking it's a friend that they've been gaming with, but it's an old man who likes to touch little boys. It's crazy. But let's go over into this video because the mother is still looking for her, and he most recently went missing. So let's get over into it and see what we can find out about this whole situation. We'll go to the AI breakdown after that. So let's jump into it.
Well, police are still searching for a New York teenager who's been missing for more than 2 weeks. His parents believe he traveled to New York City to meet someone that he met on the gaming platform Roblox. Officials say 15-year-old Thomas Medlin was last seen at Grand Central Station in Manhattan on January 9th. Thomas's mother, Eva Yan, joins us now. Eva, thank you for coming on to talk about your son. What exactly happened on January 9th, two weeks ago?
So on January 9th was Friday. In the morning, he told us, "Mom, I will stay in school, just hang out with friends and the dorm, and please pick me up at 9 p.m. So around 9 p.m., we're sure because we encourage all this social interaction with friends, with kids. Mm-hmm. He never did that before. So at 9 p.m., my husband went to pick him up, and he waited, couldn't find him. So I told him, please reach out to the security. And he left the name with us because in the morning we asked him, whom you're going to hang out with. And he didn't leave a name. So my husband gave the name to the security. Mm-hmm. They immediately reached out to the friend, and the friend said, I only went to class with him today, and I did not hang out with him. So all the security from campus got involved looking for Thomas, and I went to all the dorm, couldn't find him. The search went up to 12 o'clock in the morning, and my husband and my friend and I went out to look for him like 1 o'clock in the 12:30. Yeah. After that, we reported to Suffolk County Police.
Okay, and you found out that he had, right after school at 3:30, had rushed over to the Stony Brook train station out on Long Island, taken the train into Grand Central. And I know the week before he had asked you, Mom, will you take me to Times Square? I really want to go to Times Square. Was he having chats with someone on Roblox? I know that surveillance video showed him on the platform in Grand Central. They tracked him, I think, based on his phone over the Brooklyn Bridge. And he was notified. The notification said he was last seen in Brooklyn or last appeared in Brooklyn. Was he chatting with someone on Roblox? Was he going into the city to meet someone that he was in correspondence with on Roblox?
That was some friend told school. Mm-hmm. Thomas was talking to him, said, I met somebody through Roblox. Mm-hmm. I want to go meet this person. I believe this friend from school told him, said, don't go. It's not that safe. Mm-hmm. You have to watch out. So we didn't know all this. We found out.
It's good to hear that a friend was actually trying to speak some reason into him. Because you got to tell your kids, don't go. Don't just meet up with a random person, especially 15 years old. But it's that puppy love, and kids can be stupid and not think about their safety. It's a tragic situation.
When has been missing so long. Mm-hmm. So that was the latest information. What struck me during this time, because the time passed by each day, it become unbearable for us. It's when the officer and detectives trying to get information, it take a long time for all the social media to release the information. Even when sometimes when I call, I say I have a missing child. It's a minor.
Did
so
Roblox
police still
release
trying
anything?
to act.
What'd you find out? Did Roblox tell you these messages?
I don't. At the last time I spoke to the detective, I believe it just released some of the information, but it's just still working through what else is out there. So couldn't find a lot of information, but still active working with Roblox.
So you have not seen any messages. Were there messages between your son and whoever you think he was going to meet?
No.
What about the information? Can't they?
It's a tragic situation. Parents don't know enough information about what their kids are doing, and then they're getting frustrated because the cops aren't giving them information in the times that they want, which is a cycle that always happens.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Can't Roblox go into the account, your son's account, and see who he's talking to, and then tell you who he was meeting and find out that person's location?
No, not yet, because what happened initially when he set up the Roblox, the email would come to my personal email account. In order for him to change it, it would come like 2 codes with me. But secretly, he was able to break that, switch to different Roblox account. I found out there's like 5 different Roblox accounts, and he set up his own personal email through the cloud. So this whole thing, was very unclear to me. So it was almost bypassed my email. He was able to, set up different security word. So he was almost left us like under dust.
Yeah.
That was what happened.
Eva, let me share with you what Roblox is saying. They say, we share everyone's hope for Thomas Medlin's safe return, and our thoughts are with him and his family. We conducted a thorough review to support law enforcement's investigation and found no attempts to direct him to an off-platform communication method or sharing of off-platform contact information, including users' names, phone numbers, or other communication methods. We will continue to provide any assistance that we can. So this is a chance. If your son is watching, what is your message?
I just want him to know we love him deeply and he's not in trouble at all. Whatever he did, we understand. And please, we just want him to tell us he's safe, because thinking about that each day, will he be? Is he safe? It's really put us, and it's like in hell, more than hell. So that's a deep message. We love him so much. We want him even send us a message, whoever this person he's staying with, have a kind heart. Let us parents know, or the family friend know, he's safe. Nobody's going to harm him. That's the big message. Whenever he's ready to come home, let us know when we pick him up. And he's not in trouble at all. We love him more than anything in our life.
I know you say he's intellectually, he's just brilliant, beyond his age, speaks like a college student, and he's only 15, which is at 9th grade. What can the public know about your son? What is he like?
He has been involved a lot. He's very athletic. Very loving person, has a very good heart. He played tennis, played ping pong with me, very good ping pong player. He's a world traveler. We have been taking him to Italy, to Greece, to Vancouver, to China, to Japan, to Canada, to so many places. He has been traveling almost every year. And also he's a black diamond skier. We bring him to ski every single year. And also we have a cabin in New York. He's a snowmobile rider, a dirt bike rider.
Seems like a great kid, but there's a lot of pieces that have to be put together, because one, Roblox is saying he had no communication, saying that he was meeting up offline, meeting up away from, or having different communications. But the friend, that's the biggest thing. The friend himself said that he met someone online. You have to teach your children to be careful, especially meeting someone online. This is an age of technology. Kids are getting Kids are so tech savvy now. They're born tech savvy. And they don't think sometimes. But let's get over into the AI breakdown so we can see if we missed anything. As in January 2026, authorities are looking for Thomas, a 15-year-old boy from Long Island, New York. He disappeared for a suspected meetup with someone he met on the gaming platform Roblox. So the timeline. So on January 9th, after leaving the Stony Brook School, I might be saying that wrong, around 3:30, last known location of surveillance footage captured him at the Grand Central Station around 5:30. So he's described as 5'4", weighing 130 pounds, wearing glasses, a black jacket with red stripes, dark sweatpants with white stripes, and a black backpack. So as of late January 2026, the teen remains missing. His mother has publicly pleaded for his return. A spokesperson from Roblox stated the company is deeply troubled and is actively cooperating with law enforcement. So the case follows a separate 2025 incident where a 27-year-old man was arrested for kidnapping a 10-year-old girl he met on Roblox. I've said this before. You have to watch what your children are doing online, especially these games. They'll go into these games, pretend to be little kids, tell them to sneak away from their family, don't tell nobody so we can have a day to ourselves. But little do they know it's a grown man who's just been who's just a predator to these little kids. If anybody knows any information, it tells you to reach out to the Schofield County Police Department. It's a crazy situation, y'all. Let me know your thoughts and let me know if you disagree with anything I said. End of the day, please look after your kids and teach them not just to meet random people online. Absolutely crazy. But let's pivot over into the last topic we're going today. Speaking of kids and this younger generation, it looks like Gen Z is struggling with work, with college, all that stuff, getting a job. They're struggling. But it looks like, so the reason I bring that up is because a video came across my recommended, basically saying that parents of Gen Z's children are applying for jobs for them and are attending interviews with or for them, basically. It's a crazy situation, but let's get over into it and see what we can find out. Remember, y'all hit that like button and hit that subscribe button. Let's get into it.
Well, taking helicopter parenting to a whole new level. New data from ResumeTemplates.com shows parents are applying for jobs, joining interviews, and even contacting managers on behalf of their Gen Z kids, and they're doing it at high rates. Joining me now is Julia Toothaker, a chief career strategist with Resume Templates. Julia, I have to tell you, I was floored when I read this. Were you as stunned as I am about what you found?
I was. I could not believe how many parents actually sat in on interviews with their kids, either virtually or sometimes in person. That absolutely floored me.
So what are the employers saying about this?
I can't imagine that most employers are happy about it. I think that it really shows the lack of maturity in the kids and the Gen Zers that are doing this. But I'm sure that there are some employers, especially of smaller organizations, I think of those mom and pop shops that are probably okay with it, but I would not think that that is the norm.
And what's the
I can't see a job for an adult being okay with you being like, okay, I'm a little nervous. Can I let my mom sit in here or my dad sit in here with me while we discuss? And then they might interrupt it. Hopefully they don't interrupt the interview, but that just shows a lack of independence, a lack of maturity. At least that's my thinking, but I could be seeing it wrong way. Let's keep going.
Dynamic that's triggering this, are kids socially awkward? Are the parents nervous that their kids won't get a job? What is it?
I think it's all of that. I think, we have a generation that has been called the anxious generation. And I think that that's some of what we're seeing in this behavior from parents. But I also think that parents see what's going on in terms of getting a job, and they know that it's a lot more difficult. And so I think they think that they're trying to help their kids, but when in reality, it's holding their kids back because they need to be more independent in the workplace.
I was just going to say, if I'm an employer and the mama shows up at the job interview, I'm thinking maybe this kid's not ready.
That's what I'm thinking.
Exactly. I think most employers are going to think that way, especially when you get into more of a corporate space. You have to be able to act independently. You can't have your parents speaking on your behalf. Maybe in some very unique situations, they can call in if you're ill or something happens, but that's very, very rare.
Yeah, very quickly, is this a sign that the kids should do what I did, get a job when you're like 13, 14 years old, so by the time it's time for a real job, you're good?
I think any kind of work experience for younger kids is helpful, but also we want them to be in school and be students and learn as much as possible. But I do think that parents need to be guides more than coming in and doing the job for their kids.
There you go. Land that.
It's thinking back to when I first got my first job, I couldn't imagine my mom being right there. I couldn't imagine it. Knowing how it would make me feel like I'm not ready for the job myself. Because I'm at like the last, if I'm not mistaken, 1997. I'm like the last year technically that would be millennial Generation Z. I can't imagine that. But let's get over. But they're not just struggling with interviews and jobs. It seems like they're struggling in the schools as well. So let's get over into that.
Younger generations are falling behind as reading declines. According to a survey last year, Gen Z read fewer books than any generation, and more than 1/3 of kindergarten through 12th grade students said they dislike reading.
A Pepperdine University professor told Fortune, quote, "It's not even an inability to critically think. It's an inability to read sentences. I feel like I'm tap dancing and having to read things aloud because there's no way that anyone read the night before."
Here with her take is Brooke Uten, co-founder of Enriched Literacy Education. Brooke, what is going on? This is terrible news.
It really starts in the earliest ages, and we're seeing studies of children as early as primary school age that are unable to perform basic skills because I believe they're not being read to, they're not being spoken to in the home. Their communication skills are so much lower than children of that age, even just 10, 20 years ago. One UK study reports, 600 teachers were interviewed, and they said the children don't know their names, how to use the bathroom independently, how to brush their teeth. Which is really terrible. Fast forward, we have Los Angeles Unified School District, second largest school district in the United States. We have parents there saying their children are on iPads all day. One mom reports her 6-year-old wet himself at the table 4 times. He's otherwise neurotypical, does not have an issue with toileting because he was on an iPad and lost track of time and was overstimulated. So if we're replacing
I don't know what to say about that. I would like to say that sounds like the parent is doing something wrong, but I don't know. I truly don't know. 6 years old and can't pull himself away from an iPad and just uses the bathroom on himself. Is that just something a little kid would do? It's a crazy situation. Let's keep
human
going.
interaction, reading with iPads. People aren't going to like reading. iPads are a lot more intrinsically interesting to the brain. The dopamine is lighting up.
Yeah.
It's exciting. Reading takes work.
It's so interesting, and we've spent so much time talking about how that engagement with an iPhone or an iPad kind of scatters the brain and causes anxiety and things like that. But what we don't spend enough time talking about is the importance of sort of the other end of the spectrum, which is the devotion of the mind to a book or to something you're reading and learning to read, and how that actually calms the mind and focuses the mind.
Look at that stat down there. High school seniors have worse reading skills since 1992. God.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of research out there about even, at the very littlest age, when we respond to our babies make a noise and we respond. That's called serve and return. That is how they develop language. And, it's interesting because going back to LAUSD, their argument for bringing technology into the classroom was this is going to level the field from a socioeconomic perspective because children that are in underserved communities need to be tech literate. Well, actually, the research shows it has very little to do with your means in terms of the quality of the language development in your home. It has to do with how much you interact and talk to and read to your child. And now we're looking at, the New York Times this fall came out with an article, 1/3 of our high school seniors are not ready for college. They do not have a basic reading level.
Wow.
Yeah,
1/3 of our high school seniors.
It's fascinating. These tech all
Now is that because of like they said, the iPhone parents, where the parents would just give them an iPhone, not read to their kids? I'm thinking back to when I was growing up. My mom, she's an older mom, so she read to me stories at night. She would have me different books and stuff to read. Did I like to read? No, I didn't. Just because as a kid, no, I didn't. I was more of a math person. But I still had that introduced in my life and wasn't just throwing an iPad saying to distract yourself with some YouTube. But let's go over into the AI breakdown. There's not really nothing we can look up, but I still wanted to get more information on this whole why is Gen Z struggling? That's because it's crazy because Gen Z runs from 1997 to 2012. So all y'all's thinking that it's probably close, that millennial and Gen Z cutoff, 1996 and 1997. All y'all 1997s like me. Technically, a lot of people consider us as Generation Z. But let's go over into this just to see. So right now they're calling it a school to work crisis and categorizing it as a cooling labor market, shifting education values, and significant mental health challenges. So young workers are navigating a low hiring, low firing economy, where while mass layoffs are not universal, entry-level opportunities have significantly decreased. So the unemployment rate for Gen Z is 10.8, which is double the national average. Global entry job postings fell 29% since the early 2024. In UK, over 1.2 million graduates compete for only 17,000 entry-level roles in 2025. 58% of recent graduates are still looking for their first full-time job, compared to only 25% of previous generations at the same career stage. Companies are increasingly using AI to make the typical tasks assigned to junior staffers and entry-level people, and they're reducing new hires. So we got, for some groups, some young men, the unemployment rate is now roughly the same whether or not they hold college degrees or not, which is crazy to say. Over 4 million young people in the U.S. are now classified as NEET, not in education, employment, or training. They're not doing anything. And then the high tuition has left many graduates frozen and unable to see a clear return to the educational investment. It's a crazy situation, but is there anything that can be done to stop this? But it sounds like the only thing there's a wide variety of things that need to be done. First, increasing investment in careers, expanding the grants, aligning the curriculum to industry needs, basically having more partnerships between the educational institutions and the employers. And then also addressing economical stressors, implementing policies to address the systematic issues such as student deaths, housing affordability, and increasing emergency financial assistance for students. It's a lot of things that need to be done, but if nothing is done, it's just going to get worse. Less people there's going to be more unemployed people out there. More people who can't even read, who aren't reading at the level they should be. and more people with so many mental health issues mental health and anxiety issues where they need their parents to come to the job interview with them. It's a crazy world, but Gen Z is struggling, but it's not just Gen Z, everyone's struggling. But it's a crazy situation, y'all. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you disagree with anything I said. We got to look after the world, y'all. We got to look after the world and review the world together. Like I say always, let me know if you disagree with anything I said. But that is it for the show today, y'all. Thank you for watching. I will say this all the time. I appreciate whoever watches now. I appreciate whoever watches later. Just show your support. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you can be up to date on anything. If you have any issues with anything I said, please leave a comment. Let's have a discussion about it. Also, if you have any feedback on how to make the channel better, you can. I am happy to hear anyone's comment and feedback. But thank you all for watching. Remember to hit that like button, that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell so you can be up to date on all the videos. Remember, these videos will be broken down so you can see the exact one you want. But that is it for the show today. I will see y'all tomorrow around 6 o'clock. And you already know I got to play that outro. That's it for now, y'all. Peace.